Sukhdev, are you there? Can you hear my voice? Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear.
Shall we proceed?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Um, good morning to all of our participants. That is research ethics, plagiarism, and citation will be delivered by Dr. Sukhdev Singh. And Dr. Sukhdev Singh has done his PhD from Jawaharlal Nehru University and currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, National Institute of Technology, Patna. He works in the area of gender studies and he has more than 10 years of teaching experience and engaged with various projects funded by TechCube. And he is an award-winning writer of short stories. Dr. Sukhdev has also delivered on the topic of plagiarism, citation, references in various national and state level universities or institutions. And I'm sure his expertise will help our participants. And with this, I formally invite Dr. Sukhdev to join the session and to deliver the topic on research ethics, plagiarism, and citation to our participant. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you for inviting me to deliver this lecture here. I'll just start straight away, right?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so my screen is visible.
Yes, it is visible. It is visible.
Okay. So today I'll be speaking on research ethics, plagiarism, and citation. Let's. I would suggest that when we try to do some sort of a research on anything, it's always a good practice to start with its basic definition. And when we talk about definitions, then I would suggest that always go back to the authoritative definitions, for instance, from the dictionaries, because it's the dictionaries which will define in an authoritative way, because dictionaries have been given authority, and then you will get the authoritative definition of a word, a concept, an idea. No matter what kind of a word or concept or idea it is, most probably you will find the definition of that word or idea that you are looking for in a dictionary. So for plagiarism and for citation, I've used the Merriam-Webster dictionary's definition, because they give you an authoritative insight, and not just that, they give you the meaning of the word in which you are working, in the sense that if I'm looking for plagiarism in the domain of academics, so Merriam-Webster will not only give definition about plagiarism in academics, but it will also give you the origin of that word. In a sense, when we look at dictionaries, you get a comprehensive idea about what you were looking for. So as far as plagiarism is concerned, let's first look at the word plagiarize. So the Merriam-Webster dictionary informs us that plagiarize means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own, which means that we understand by this word, Merriam-Webster defines it as as a sort of stealing or passing of others' ideas as your own. It gives us another definition of plagiarism, which is to use another's production without crediting the source. So, with the second idea of plagiarism, we get to know that plagiarism is not just restricted to um, academics, but it is also applied in ideas related to designs and production, which means in industry also you can apply the idea of plagiarism. That somebody steals design of, let's say, a laptop or a cell phone or even a car from another company and claims that this is my original design. So these things can happen. These things also come under the word plagiarism. It also means to commit literary theft. Most probably, as far as Merriam-Webster dictionary is concerned, committing literary theft perhaps is, the area in which we are going to deal with it today. So it is also a theft, but literary theft. And plagiarism is also defined as presenting something new and original, but you have already derived it from some other source. That is, you claim that this idea is new, you claim that this idea is original idea, but somewhere else, or maybe in some other part of the world, the same idea exists in some book, right? So plagiarism means this also, that you are saying that this is absolutely new, this is a groundbreaking research that I have done, but actually the research has already been done somewhere else. So that also means plagiarism. So I picked up these four definitions of the word plagiarism from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Let's see what is the root of the of this word, because when we look at etymologically, when we see the origin of the word or when we go to the root of the word, then we come to the domain of etymology. Etymology is also related to dictionary definitions. So when we see the root of the word plagiarism, excuse me, then we come to know that the root of this word is from a Latin word called plagiarus, which means kidnapper. So you can see, when we see the root of the word plagiarize, then you will see that it might refer to something like kidnapping somebody else's ideas. When do you kidnap? You kidnap without somebody else's permission. So when you are taking somebody's ideas without taking their permission, it simply means that you have kidnapped somebody or somebody's ideas. So the Latin word plagiarist refers to kidnapper. It means kidnapper. Another origin of this word is plagiarus, right? Which this word plagiarus has also come from another Latin word which means plaga. And why I also prefer dictionary definitions, because I work in the domain of literature also. So these definitions give you a clear picture. They form the foundation of what you're going to say. So plagiarus, the word plagiarus also comes from the word plaga, which means a net used by hunters to catch game. So in olden times, they used to use a net which was called plaga, and that net was used for catching different type of animals as game. Right. So over here also you can see that the reference is that you are hunting for somebody else's ideas. You are trapping somebody else's ideas in your net, in your academic net, in your paper, and then claiming that this is mine, but perhaps this is not yours. So this was the dictionary definition and the root of the word plagiarize. Now, now, not only that, we need to look up for um, authoritative definition by a dictionary, but we also need to look at different organizations. Different organizations also set the parameters on which whether a work produced by a scholar is plagiarized or not depends. So these parameters are also set by another authority, which is the university. So I've just picked up a couple of random examples from different universities. One is from America, one is perhaps from yeah. One is this American Association of University Professors. This is an organization, right? So I picked up what they call plagiarism. For them, it is a special kind of a theft. Theft does not mean stealing just somebody's things or picking somebody's pocket, something material. Theft also includes theft of ideas. So that's why they call it AAUP. They call it a special kind of a theft. So when we talk about plagiarism, we think plagiarism in terms of a theft, but a special kind of a theft, because it is a theft of somebody else's ideas. You steal somebody else's ideas. And then they also tell us that when you commit an act of plagiarism, you commit an act of plagiarism according to American Association of University Professors when you don't acknowledge the ideas that you have utilized in your work, somebody else's ideas. The moment you don't acknowledge somebody else's ideas, then it is called plagiarism according to University Professors, American Association of University Professors. Similarly, when you don't give acknowledgement to the methods or to the written words of others, because you also use the methods. People who do quantitative research, when they collect data, etc., so they use different methods. So in those methods they need to inform that this method's origin comes from that source. That is, the method, if it does not belong to their own, if the method is not their own, then they need to inform that this method is from that source. That is, they need to acknowledge. Similarly, if you are using somebody else's words, then also you need to acknowledge. If you don't do the acknowledgement of ideas, methods, written words of others, then AAUP calls it plagiarism. The third dimension to plagiarism that AAUP presents us with is that if you have an intention, this goes a little extreme. If you have an intention, because intention is not easy to know, but it can be known when you have already plagiarized in your scholarly work. Okay, so when the intention to present other people's ideas, methods, or written words as your own is visible in your work, then American Association of University Professors calls it plagiarism. So my approach to plagiarism so far has been from an authoritative standpoint. That is, what the authorities are telling us about plagiarism, right? By deriving from these authoritative definitions or ideas of plagiarism, we can form our own ideas of plagiarism also. Let's move to what is the significance. The significance of plagiarism refers to some sort of a criminal offense. And towards the middle of this presentation, I will discuss how people have failed to, let's say, deem the idea of plagiarism as a criminal offense. Because
Sir, I think I request the participant please wait. I think some issue with the network from
several people
yeah,
like
yeah, go ahead. Uh, Dr. Sukhdev, I think your voice is not audible. Could you please check and again connect it? Some issue with your audio.
Hello? Hello? Deepak, can you hear me? There was
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
connection. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just got disconnected somehow. I think there was some problem. Yeah, can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. We can see your screen. Dr. Sukhdev, we can see your screen. Please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Your audio is muted. Please unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so the dictionary definition, uh, the significance of dictionary definition or other definitions is that the root itself indicates towards a criminal offense. That plagiarism, the idea of plagiarism is referring to a criminal offense. But in the middle of the presentation, we will get to know through Kara Bradley and others that somehow it is very difficult to prove plagiarism in a court of law. And as far as if plagiarism is proven, then what the publishers do, they take back the article, they remove the article from the database, okay, or they just want the public apology, something like this. So although the root of the word plagiarism refers to criminal offense, but it's very hard to prove, unfortunately. Second aspect that we come to know about plagiarism through these authoritative definitions is that just like other things, ideas or words also come under the ownership, that one can own ideas and words as well. This is also that we come to know as far as definition of plagiarism is concerned. Fourthly, we also know that it is applicable to several domains, not just literature, not just academics, but also to industry. You can apply the idea of plagiarism to industry also. Because these days, because of the technological advancement, you will see that people try to commit plagiarism through computers also, right? So it is in that domain as well. Finally, we come to know through these definitions that when you are going to present something again, that is representation. If you are presenting something again, that will not be called originality. That is, it is not original. Presenting something again is not original. Okay. So you published an article and you are publishing the article again. So that is not originality. Right. Let's move to another domain. Right. So let us see. Uh, in this lecture, the domain of plagiarism, I've fixed up the domain, most probably the academic domain which concerns us, right? So I'm not talking about the industry domain. I'm just talking about the academic domain, which includes universities, research institutions. So this is the basic domain of plagiarism as far as plagiarism is concerned. So in this domain, who are the parties? The parties mainly are teachers and students. It is a responsibility of both. The teacher's responsibility is, as a matter of fact, more than the students' responsibility, because teachers are there to teach them what plagiarism is and how not to commit it, etc. So, so these are the two major parties in universities and research institutions, which are teachers and students. And the responsibility by and large is on teachers to train students in avoiding in avoiding plagiarism. So first domain is universities and research institutions, because this is what the academics does. Okay, in academics we do research, and if there is a possibility of falling in the trap of plagiarism, it's the duty of the universities and teachers to create awareness about it. And this present faculty development program, this FDP in itself stands for this idea that as part of the institution, we are trying to spread awareness about what plagiarism is and how to avoid it. So this very FDP represents what I'm right now telling you about. So university and research institutions. Second domain of plagiarism we come to know is publication organizations, because as academics, as students, we publish our papers. Sometimes we publish our theses and dissertations, right? Which means that in in this domain we try to approach the publishers and then we publish our ideas, right? So in publication organizations, different other parties are also related. So teacher students, they remain the same because we need to publish. Then come professionals and researchers, because publication organizations don't just cater to teachers and students, they also cater to different other type of professionals and researchers, right? Not just teachers and students. So this is the second type of party which is involved in this domain. And the third party is the writers. Writers, most probably the writers of fiction, not just teachers, students, or professionals and researchers, but also writers of fiction. They also fall under this domain. So, as an organization, whether it is university or any other research organization, whether it is publication organization, it is the responsibility of the organization to set the standards of plagiarism, to set the standards of not falling in the trap of plagiarism. So anything that you submit, if you are a student, if you are a teacher, when you submit your paper to a journal, first you visit their website. So over there you will see there are so many guidelines that they give. Not only that, they give guideline about how to cite, what sort of citation their journal accepts, but they also make a statement about plagiarism. So you will see, as part of their responsibility, the publication organizations do mention or spread awareness of plagiarism and also how to avoid it. Not just they do this, but they also refer to different softwares and other technical means by which they detect plagiarism. So these organizations, universities, research institutions, publication organizations, and whoever is related to them, it's the responsibility of these people and organizations to spread awareness of plagiarism. So this is the domain in which plagiarism happens. Okay. So in this domain, if plagiarism is happening, then they will inform you that this is plagiarism. They will detect you and then you can remove it, because plagiarism is not just intentional as mentioned in American Association of University Professors definition. Sometimes plagiarism happens without any intention also, right? So when you don't have the intention, unintentionally also you commit plagiarism. So in that case, universities and these organization, publication organizations, they have set the proper parameters and standards that as researchers and students or as different professionals, we need to follow. And if we follow their guidelines, obviously we will not fall in the trap of plagiarism. So these were the two major domains of plagiarism which mostly concern us as academicians and researchers. Now, there is very interesting thing that this company called Turnitin. which provides paid services for detecting plagiarism. So on their website, have mentioned something called a spectrum of plagiarism. So this is the second version or the updated version of their spectrum of plagiarism, which is to a certain extent similar to the first version. So last time when I was talking about plagiarism in a university, Royal Global University in Guwahati, so over there I had used the first version of Turnitin's spectrum of plagiarism, but I've updated it for this FDP. So I'll just give you um, a reference to the first version as well. I'm not going to discuss it. I mean, I will just give you a reference to the first version as well. But in the presentation, what you see is the second version. So in the first version, Turnitin mentions something called cloning, which means um you submit another person's work word for word. That is, you copy as it is and you submit it as your own, right? So in the first version, they called it cloning. Second type of plagiarism, according to Turnitin, is control plus C, CTRL plus C, which is used in the second version also. So in that, they mention that the significant portions of text from a single source without alteration. That is, you take significant portions of a text. That is, large amount of text, a substantial amount of text from other sources you take without any alteration. You don't make any alteration, as it is, right? You take it and you present it in your piece of work. Okay. So while we were doing MPhils and PhDs, so our professors also guided us in this, that you are not supposed to take long extracts. You're not supposed to quote long extracts. Even though you will quote the long extracts, that might be called as plagiarism, because this much of large amount of quotation from a single source, you need the written permission for that, for which the publishing houses charge the scholar, right? So since you cannot afford that charge, you are not allowed to use it. And since you are not allowed to use it, if you use the longer extracts, right, 2 pages, 3 pages, then obviously it will legally amount to plagiarism. So it this Turnitin also mentioned it like this. The third one was find replace, right? So in this, what you do is you change the keywords and phrases. This is the first version I'm talking about of the spectrum of plagiarism by Turnitin. So in find replace, what you do is you just change the keywords and phrases, right? But the essence of the content of somebody else, you keep it. You just change some keywords, but the essence you kept it, right? So this is called find replace. Then comes the remix. In this, what you do is you derive, you take the extracts and quotations from multiple sources and put them together to make it a whole. Okay, so this is called remixing according to Turnitin. Then comes the recycle. This idea of recycle, this is something which I think most of the scholars, when they are budding scholars, as students commit this kind of mistake of recycling. What they do is they borrow from their own previous work without giving a citation. Suppose a student has published a paper in a journal, and student gives has published it, and now student is writing for another journal, some other paper, but wants to use her or his uh, you know uh, her or his idea in the previous paper. So that idea, if she or he wants to use, then obviously the student needs to give the citation about that article which was published, no matter she or he is the author. Okay, so it's called the recycle, that you are recycling your own idea. Okay, then comes hybrid. The sixth one is hybrid. In hybrid, in the category of hybrid, what you do is you combine correctly cited sources with the copied passages without giving any citation. So what you do is you're using the correct citation, but with that you also give the references to those citations. You use those passages, but you don't give the references, which means you are again making it hybrid. You're making it two parts. Then comes mashup. In mashup, you mix copied material from multiple sources. So you will also find that even Turnitin is trying to create confusion, because most of the categories, as far as they sound, appear to be similar, but as far as their software is concerned. By the way, my own institution, NIT Patna, also takes the services of Turnitin. So you will see that these categories overlap. But when a paper is put on Turnitin or other software, then you will see it will give you so much of mistakes, right? According to these definitions. In sounding they do appear similar, but they are slightly different. Then comes 404 error, right? In error, it includes citations to non-existent or inaccurate information about sources. That is, you give reference to inaccurate or those citations which don't even exist, right? You make something non-existent as if it has been cited from a source. Okay, so this is called error. Then comes aggregator, right? So this aggregator means that you have given only the citations in your piece of writing. You are just given the citation. There is no original thinking, there is no original wording from your own side. That's called aggregator. Then comes retweet, which means you give proper citation, but you rely hugely heavily on original wording and on the structure of your source. So these were the 10, and they, in the updated version, in spectrum of plagiarism 2.0, Turnitin has added two more. 10 were earlier, and now they have added two more. The first one is inadvertent plagiarism, which means uh, you are using the citation, but perhaps you forgot about giving the proper reference, or maybe you just forgot about following the guideline of the journal. Okay, because when you submit your paper to a journal, you give a proper citation in accordance with what the journal is requiring. Okay, so you forgot to properly cite or quote. This is called inadvertent plagiarism, right? So you are quoting a source without any intention. Okay, right? So it is unintentional paraphrasing, right? Second is student collusion. What happens is students get a lot of assignments, and if the assignment is meant for individual student and the
Sorry to
student,
interrupt you, Dr. Sukhdev. Your
yeah,
slides are not visible to all. I think, are you showing any slides to the participants?
yeah,
It is not reflected actually. So could you
okay,
please connect it again? Your slides. Just stop
okay,
sharing and
okay,
again connect.
okay.
Thank you.
Is it visible now? Is the slide visible? Hello,
I can hear
is the
you.
slide?
Your slides. Yes.
Okay, good. So students get a lot of assignments, but what happens is, even if the assignment is meant for individual student, but the student that particular student then goes to other student and takes the help. Okay, so the assignment was meant for individual student, but the student involves another student to collaborate with her or him. Okay, so this is called student collusion according to Turnitin. Then comes paraphrase plagiarism. In paraphrase plagiarism, what happens is that you paraphrase the ideas of a source without proper attribution. You don't attribute that this, I paraphrase that source, because many times, as I already told you, that for taking the longer extracts, you need the written permission of the publishing house of your source, so which they sell. Okay, so if you are not doing that, then in academics it is allowed to paraphrase, right? So that paraphrase, if you don't attribute that paraphrase to the source, you use the paraphrase, right, from that source, but you are not telling that this paraphrase has come from that particular source, then it's called paraphrase plagiarism. Then comes word for word plagiarism, which again is copying and pasting, which was in first version also. Then comes computer code plagiarism. This is a new one, computer code plagiarism. So in computer code plagiarism, what happens is that you copy or you adapt a source code. In computers there is a source code also, so you copy or adapt a source code without the permission of the original creator. You don't take the permission from that original creator, and you don't attribute it to the original creator, but you just adapt it or copy it for your own purpose, this computer code. So it's called computer code plagiarism. So with the with the advancement in technology, plagiarism is also including those technological aspects. So it is also creating that technological dimension to plagiarism. This is what we should understand. Although we don't have much to do with computers as far as humanities and social sciences are concerned, but yet for general understanding of plagiarism, we must understand this also. Then comes source based um, sorry then comes self plagiarism. So this has also been covered in the first version, where we spoke about recycling one's own ideas. So self plagiarism means that you are you are reusing your own ideas, right, but you are not attributing it. Many times you need to give this, and the self plagiarism, as far as I am concerned, I take it as a mistake which is unintentional, right? Let's move to the next one. So the seventh one is called source based plagiarism. So what happens in source based, what you do is you provide inaccurate or incomplete information about sources which cannot be found. This also we saw in the first version, right? So it was called 404 error, right? So in the source based plagiarism, what happens is that you are using inaccurate information or the incomplete information about the sources, and this information cannot be found out. Eighth one is mosaic. In mosaic, what you do is you create phrases and text from several sources and place them into your own work. Again, mosaic also resembles from the first one, which we have called remix, right? So slight variations are there, but I'm sure when we use the Turnitin software, then obviously the software will check and make differences between these different categories, right? Unfortunately they are sounding more or less similar, right? So source base, mosaic. In mosaic, you borrow from different sources, phrases and texts, and then you place them into your own work. And what you do is you try to adjust the sentences without quotation or without giving any proper acknowledgement to the original creator of that source. Ninth is manual text modification. So text modification is not only done by softwares but manually also, obviously manually as well as through softwares. So what happens in manual text modification is that you manipulate the text with the intention of misleading plagiarism detection software. So when you are manipulating by your hand, so the intention is that the software which detects the that you have plagiarized, so it can be misled. How much it succeeds, only Turnitin can tell. Since my source is Turnitin, so and Turnitin is telling us about manual text modification, so we must understand that maybe this is what is done, but yet people fail and Turnitin detects it. Next comes software based text modification. What happens in software based text modification is that you take the content written by another person and run it through a software. This software tool could be uh, something called text spinner or translation engine, right? So you use the content of somebody else and then put it through a software, right, which then manipulates it, and then plagiarism can be evaded, right? It can evade detection by other softwares, right? So people manually do it. People also use softwares in order to commit this academic theft. Let's call it academic theft. Then the 11th one is called data plagiarism. So data plagiarism most probably can be applied as an idea in the domain of quantitative research, right, and other fields also in which data is collected. So what happens is how people commit data plagiarism. They falsify or fabricate data, right? So what they do is they improperly appropriate someone else's work, right? Maybe data was given by somebody else, but what the plagiarist is doing is appropriating that data and calling it that this data was collected by me. And you would be surprised, or perhaps not surprised, that these days there are repositories of data from government sources and from other sources also. So your data is also kept in those repositories. So it becomes easily accessible. Simultaneously, it also becomes very difficult to, let's say, plagiarize, especially data, because it is already in the public domain. There are several repositories in India as well as outside India, in which people do keep their research data, right? So what you do is you falsify data, you fabricate data, and you appropriate somebody else's data and put it in and the effect of such kind of thing is that the researcher to whom the data originally belonged, or the institution or publisher, their reputation then is jeopardized, right? Then the last is contract cheating. This one is very interesting. That is, you employ somebody, right? Either by free, either without any fee, or you pay the person, or you pay in kind, right? So you employ somebody who will complete your assignment or write your papers, etc., right? And then you can represent that work as your own, right? So in short, these were the 12 criteria that Turnitin as an organization makes us aware about the type of plagiarism, and Turnitin calls it a spectrum. So this spectrum is the version 2, and you will, as I've also mentioned, version 1. So you see they overlap. Sometimes they are one and the same thing, but maybe the heading is different. So through such organizations like Turnitin, we also come to know about plagiarism, and we also come to know how to avoid it, because many of the categories in this are those in which we unintentionally commit the act of plagiarism. Since detection of plagiarism by publishing organizations and others is done by softwares, no matter it is unintentional, it will be deemed plagiarism, right? You will be accused of plagiarism. So these were the 12 criteria. Now I've also given an example. Since they didn't give example from the second version, I've used the first version, the example from the first version. So the example is remix or paraphrase. Right. So what you see is the source is about a natural setting, history of exploration and settlement in Yosemite Valley. So over here, what you see is that the source is there, and you will see that somehow some of the things have been paraphrased from the source, right? And the first one in green you see has been paraphrased from the source, and the second one in turquoise color, slightly blue color, you see that is from some other source. So both of these sourced material has been placed together, right? And they have been claimed by the writer, right? So this is the example of remix or paraphrase according to Turnitin, right? Now, since the domain of plagiarism is universities, research institutions, right, and publication organizations, as already mentioned, um, it is their job to create awareness among teachers and students, right? And you won't believe the type of plagiarism which happens actually. So it is their responsibility, and as part of their responsibility, they try to create awareness in order to prevent plagiarism. So what they do is they try to first train their teachers. For instance, if I give you example from my own institution. So when we started taking services of Turnitin, so we as teachers were also invited for training sessions, right? That how not only the software functions, but what to do, what not to do, what are the criteria. So a sort of a training, a brief training was given to us. So universities and organization, research institutions, they organize these sort of training sessions, they organize FDPs or conferences on it, so so that they can train teachers. And then it becomes the responsibility of the teachers to train the students in in universities outside. Even the undergrads have to follow these rules and regulations of avoiding plagiarism. So teachers who teach undergrad students outside India, they do inform them about how not to fall in the trap of plagiarism. So they do inform by their own experiences, because teachers do have their vast amount of experience. They do talk about it through conferences and seminars, etc., and other training sessions. And when they check the assignment of students, as far as teachers are concerned, they do pinpoint how to cite, right, properly. They do give the guidelines, they do hold classes, right, to prevent plagiarism, right? Then publication organizations also, which I've already mentioned, they do have guidelines on their websites. They do have the style sheets which they choose, which they prescribe, in which you need to write, right? All the criteria they do give, which means basically prevention of plagiarism as far as this presentation is concerned is dependent more on teacher and different professionals experience and how they pass on this experience to their their students. Or as a professional, if I become part of, let's say, a journal and I try to review articles, if I become a part of an editorial board or review board, so based on my own expertise, or based on my own experience, I will be able to contribute to that organization. I will be able to review those papers which they will send me in accordance with the experience that I've gained over the years. So in publication organizations also, you will see teachers, students, professional researchers, and writers, right? So they all are trained, because publication organizations have the clear-cut guidelines of what is called plagiarism and what is not plagiarism, and how to avoid it, and which style sheet or which way of citation to follow. So if we follow these guidelines, we will not fall in the trap of plagiarism. We will not fall in the net of plagiarism. So we avoid plagiarism not just through Turnitin and other organizations, but publication organizations and education institutions also tell us about plagiarism. Now, I've taken the example of Kent State University's policy. So what educational organizations do is they do have clear-cut policy on plagiarism, on this idea of plagiarism. So what they do is, for instance, Kent State University has done, they have it in their statutes, in their rules and regulations. So the Kent State University's chapter 3rd has a section 0.18, sorry, 01.8. So this chapter concerns student cheating and plagiarism. Although they have not focused on teachers, perhaps they consider that teachers don't commit this. So they have a specific chapter in which they have spoken about, clearly spoken about plagiarism. And what they talk about, that somehow if a student commits it, then it is the subversion of their university's goal. So what is the goal of a university? To provide proper education, right? To provide or to create original thinking. So if the students and teachers are committing the act of plagiarism, then obviously it will subvert the goal of that particular university. And in general also, education institutions need to produce the original thinking, need to produce the original research, right? So if that is not done, then obviously it is subversion of their goal. And they also have interestingly kept provision for punitive action. I'm not aware whether my own institution has this punitive action against this kind of theft, right? But Kent State University does have this kind of provision for punitive action. So if somebody is found um, copying from some other sources, especially students, so there is provision for punitive action. Maybe student will be debarred, or student will be restricted, something like this. So some sort of punishment is there. So through punishment also, different organizations try to prevent this idea of plagiarism. So through codification of laws, through awareness, through punitive action, plagiarism can be prevented. Now, as I've already mentioned, American Association of University Professors, so they also give some guidelines how to prevent plagiarism. So they simply tell you to give full credit, which means if you are using a source, and as far as my understanding of this idea is concerned, as far as research as a whole is concerned, so it's very easy to avoid this kind of theft. That is, whatever you use, you simply give full credit. So AAUP also tells you that you give full credit to the sources that you have taken. And as an academician, if you want to create awareness about plagiarism and you want to prevent plagiarism through awareness, then you also write reviews on plagiarism, right? So if you come to know about an instance of plagiarism, then what you do is you write a review about that particular paper or particular book that you have read. So you write reviews about that. It also tells you that institutions can codify guidelines, just like Kent State University has a well defined guideline and rules and regulations against plagiarism. So institutions can codify that. You can codify rules and regulations, and you can also keep a provision for punitive action. If you take, as an organization, if you take plagiarism as a very serious kind of an offense, which by definition it is. Not just that you need guidelines, but you also need different procedures. So you need to have different procedures by which it can be detected. So one of the procedures is taking the services of softwares like Turnitin. So you can develop that, and you can also develop different forms of citation. So for instance, I recall that based on this blue book, it's called the blue book. It's also a style guide or style sheet, which is usually used in uh, in the legal research. The blue book. So one of the centers in my alma mater, Jawaharlal Nehru University, they borrow certain ideas from the blue book. The center's name is Center for International Legal Studies. So in that center, they borrow some ideas from the Blue Book, and they have developed their own procedure or mechanism or a sort of guideline to citations in research. So educational institutions can develop their own rigorous sort of procedures against it. Obviously, you can award penalty also, and another important element that AAUP informs us about is that, and it is directed to teachers, never take the credit of your students. So because students come up with different novel ideas, and as supervisors, as their guides, you are the one who will be first to read it before before the reviewer or publication organization reads it. You are the first one who will read it. So it is suggested by AAUP that as a teacher, as a supervisor, you are not supposed to take the credit of students ideas. You are not supposed to take the credit of your students idea. You're not supposed to use those ideas as your own, because that idea belongs to the student. And if you have reviewed an article for a journal, then the journal will also tell you that the ideas contained in the article that you are going to review, they are the ideas of that particular writer, anonymous writer. You are not to take these ideas as your own. You are not to use these ideas, right? Your job is to review it. So all these organizations give these kind of suggestions and guidance to you. So do not take your students ideas. And from ethical point of view, from ethical point of view, it also requires that you must show some sort of rigorous academic honesty. So the onus is on the teachers. The onus is on the teachers to show this academic honesty, to be ethical, to follow the ethical research standards rather than copying from somewhere else. So this is also how an organization called American Association of University Professors gives us certain guidelines to prevent plagiarism. Then another aspect that we come to know is the use of technology. In use of technology, I've already referred to Turnitin. right? There are other software also. For instance, Crossref or Crosscheck. This is most probably used by the publication organizations, especially the journals, right? Then there is Turnitin, which is a paid service, and then there is something called Vast and Freestyler. I recently checked Vast and Freestyler. They perhaps have been made outdated now because of Turnitin and Crossref and Crosscheck. So you can use technology also to prevent plagiarism. Now, I've used Cara Bradley's approach on plagiarism. So what Cara Bradley shows is, in one of her articles, that we can develop when AAUP when AAUP when AAUP tells us to develop some sort of a procedure against it, then Cara Bradley's approach can be applied, that we can develop a discipline based teaching tool. That is, we can find different cases, discipline based cases as teaching tool. We can find cases of plagiarism in different disciplines, whether it's in fiction, whether it's in sciences and engineering, whether it's in humanities and social sciences. So we can develop a mechanism by using different cases, right? So we can discuss those different cases in different disciplines of plagiarism, and we can talk about, discuss, hold classes on these cases of different plagiarism in different disciplines, and thus we can spread awareness to students. We can hold classes on this. So this is one idea that she says that we can develop to prevent it. Second, she also tells why there is a need for these real cases is because the real cases will generate greater interest in students, especially in students. So if we give examples of the real cases in order to prevent plagiarism in classroom as supervisor and guides, then it will create greater interest, and because of this interest, the the research scholar might not commit it. Of course, we need to follow all these tools which I've just mentioned to you. We need to follow all these tools, but we also need to talk about the real cases of this kind of approach. So Bradley's idea is that when we discuss real cases, we come to see how much important it is to prevent plagiarism and how complex they are, right? Because they are very complex. They are not easy to detect also. Many times, many times, software also commits mistakes. Next, she also tells the use of style manuals, which is very basic. Use of style manuals. And there are different style manuals which I have discussed in citation section. So this was in a nutshell about plagiarism. So as far as this idea was concerned, so we not only learned about the definition of plagiarism, but we also went through domains, which are universities, research institutions, and publication organizations. And then we also try to see how Turnitin, which is a very major and very famous kind of a software used by education institutions world over. So we also saw how they tell us about how they tell us about plagiarism, right? And then we also took help in prevention of plagiarism through different organizations like Kent State University and AAUP, and we also see that it can be prevented by the use of technology. Turnitin is a prime example. And then we also learned its prevention through discipline-based cases as teaching tool, that we can teach it. Prevention of plagiarism we can teach to our students. So this is also we learned as far as this idea of plagiarism is concerned. Now let us move to citation. Once again, I have moved to definition by dictionary, because dictionary definitions are always important. So again, I've taken the Merriam-Webster's help in defining what citation means. As far as citation is concerned, you will see that dictionary defines it in these four these four ways, and only one way is applicable in our case. That is, in the case of researchers, students, teachers. So first it defines it as some sort of an official summon in which to appear before the court, right? So citation means that also, some sort of an official summon by the court. It also defines it as an act of quoting. That is, you are citing or quoting something. You are citing or quoting the previously settled case in legal structure. That is, you are citing a case. Okay, so these two definitions relate to the legal aspect of citation. Just like plagiarism has a legal aspect, citation also has a legal aspect. So by definition you will see that both plagiarism and citation are interrelated, right? They are perhaps the two faces of the same coin. Okay, so there is a legal dimension to both plagiarism and citation. The third one means, the third definition of citation is excerpt or quotation. That is, it is an extract or a quotation. We all know what quotation is, right? So it is an excerpt or a quotation, right? So the third one is something with which we are more concerned. Okay, although we are concerned with the legal dimension also.
I think Dr. Sukhdev, your audio is mute. Just unmute your audio. Your audio is, I think,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Does it mute automatically? Because again and again it is happening.
There might be some issue with the network.
Yeah. Okay.
Now
Okay.
it is okay.
Anyways. Okay. Thank you. So you will see that when somebody gets a Nobel Prize, just to give an example, so what you see, a citation is made. So that citation recounts the achievements of that person who receives an academic honor or some sort of an award, right? So over here also you see that citation, just like just like plagiarism, citation also has a legal dimension, right? Let's move to another aspect. Definition of citation. So what citation means? Citation is a way or a medium by which we inform others. So what an academic researcher or a teacher informs the other, the teacher or researcher informs the readers about the sources which she or he has utilized in her or his work. Okay, so this is what we inform. So we inform about whatever sources of material we have used in our work to others, right? How does it help? It helps not only that the reader gets the information, but it will help also the reader to get more information on the same topic. Maybe the reader wants to do some research, because we are readers also. Not only that we are researchers, we are also readers. So when I read an article, I read it for my own research. When I go through the bibliography or list of references of an article, I see what kind of a research that person had done, right? So I can access by going through the list of references. I can also read the same books. So whenever I suggested to all my students, whenever you read an article, do not forget about the reference list or bibliography, because you can also read those. So it is a medium by which we inform the readers about the sources of our work, and this medium also helps the readers to get more information on the same topic. So this is how we define citation. Then we come to the significance of citation. Why is it important? What is the importance of citation? Citation is not only important from an ethical point, but it is also important because it is our responsibility to give credit to the author whose ideas we are using, or the source from where we have derived our ideas. So it is the responsibility. It is mandatory, right? And citation is also important. Citation is also important because then we can also find out source or origin of the article writer's ideas, because we need to find, if we don't have those sources and origin of a writer or researcher's ideas, then we will not know whether this kind of knowledge which has been produced is valid or not. Because uh, plagiarism and citation are interrelated, and they do refer to whether the knowledge which has been produced is valid or not. And the validity of knowledge depends on how much you have cited, how much you have borrowed from the existing sources. So that's why we do cite. It also gives, it is also significant because it also quantifies research. That is, by going through the reference list, by going through different citation in the text, you can identify, or you can know how far and wide the researcher has gone. The basic teaching lesson that the basic lesson about writing a paper that I give to students is that you have to cite, because citation will give the idea to any reader of your paper how much or what kind of a research, the quality of research that you have done, not just quantity but also quality. And finally, the significance of research, citation depends on the strength. That is, it strengthens your work. Why do we need this kind of a strength which we borrow from other people's ideas? Because by putting forward other people's ideas, we can legitimize what we want to say. This is an academic convention that we cannot say without borrowing from other people's ideas, because then credibility will not be added to our own ideas. If we want to produce credible information or credible knowledge, it needs to be backed up by other people's ideas. It needs to be legitimized by other people's ideas. Otherwise, it will not be a credible source. It will not be a credible knowledge. It will not be a valid knowledge. So this is the criteria of what valid knowledge is, what valid knowledge is not. Now let's see what are the basic elements in citation. The basic element in citation in general, I'm just talking about in general. The basic elements in citation are the author, but many style sheets do not give reference to author as far as citation is concerned, but author is important. It needs to refer to author. It also needs to refer to title of the work, especially when you are using footnote or endnote, or putting the work in the reference list or bibliography, right? And it also needs to have name and location of publisher, not in the text, but either as footnote, endnote, or as bibliography or reference list. And it also needs to have page numbers and the year of publication. So these are the basic elements of of citation. So by seeing these basic elements of citation, you will come to know that this idea that a writer has applied or used in her or his paper belongs to these people, right? And these people's ideas are the basis of the idea of this person. And interestingly, when I was studying about Turnitin's 2.0 spectrum, then they also defined what original thinking is, right? Original thinking, in simple terms, as far as Turnitin is concerned, is the ideas, your own ideas, which are backed by other people's ideas or sources, right? This is very simple. So producing original thinking in academics is very simple as far as the definition of original thinking is concerned, right? So this will give you an indication whether or not a person's thinking is original, a person's idea is original or not. If these basic elements are missing from a piece of work that you read as a student, as a teacher, as a researcher, you must know that there is some sort of something is not up to the mark, right? So you must see that something is not up to the mark. Okay, that is, the research is not original. Now let us see what are the types of citation. These types of citations are also called style guides. They are also called style sheets. I prefer the term style sheet, right? So they are called style guides, style sheets, and in and I've chosen these three domains. One is humanities and social sciences. Second is law. Third is sciences and engineering. And of these three, since my business is with the humanities and social sciences, I will only give very brief references to uh, those style sheets which are applied in humanities and social sciences rather than law and sciences and engineering, right? So in humanities and social sciences, you see there are three major types of citing the sources. One is APA, which means American Psychological Association. Second is CMOS or CMOS, which means Chicago Manual of Style, um, which the Chicago University Press has developed. The third one is MLA, which means Modern Language Association of America. So this is an association which has developed a way of citing. So just by these, you come to know how these different organizations have developed different ways of doing research. Then in law comes the blue book, which I've already referred to. So some education institutions use these different style sheets as basis and then develop their own, right? The blue book is there. And then in sciences and engineering, a large number of these style sheets are there. One is AIP, which stands for American Institute of Physics, and it deals with physics and astronomy. Then is next is ACS, which means American Chemical Society, which obviously is for the branch of chemistry. Then comes CSE, which is Council of Science Editors, which is mainly for biology. Then comes AMA, which stands for American Medical Association, which obviously is for medicine. And then comes IEEE, which stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, which is for most of the branches in engineering. So these are three different major domains of knowledge in which these style sheets are applied. Now let's see what are the different styles, and I've just given you in very brief, because this is a very time restricted presentation. So in very brief, I've given you. So in different style sheets, but in the humanities and social sciences. So there are further divisions. although if I give you reference to my own article, the recent article which is going to be published in December itself. So they use APA, but over here
Your audio is muted. Please unmute it, Dr. Sukhdev.
uh, it
Yeah,
just gets
now,
it,
yeah, yeah, it's audible.
okay, it just gets muted automatically. So, so what I'm saying is that this recent article which will be published. So they asked me to use APA style, and they also had given their own instructions. Although I was writing purely in the humanities domain for English, absolutely for English, but there are these divisions which may not be some sort of hard and fast rule. So as far as APA is considered, mostly in the social sciences, APA is utilized. Chicago Manual of Style is utilized mostly in history, but obviously in other domains also. These are just some categorizations which they have done. Okay, and I have taken this categorization from Purdue University. So they have something called Online Writing Lab, OWL. They call it OWL. So from that website, you can get the resources about research, how to do research, even plagiarism, and many other things. So this is coming from there. So Chicago Manual Style primarily is for history domain, and MLA is primarily for humanities, right? Especially the language and linguistics. Now, further variations you will see in their style emerge. As far as APA is considered, the focus of APA is on date. So they give importance on the date. Date, which date? The date of publication. So the focus of APA is that they will focus on the date of the publication, when it was published. So primary focus is date. Chicago, on the other
Dr. Sukhdev, are you there? I, okay, just unmute it again. I think automatically it is.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
it mutes automatically. Anyways, so so emphasis of Chicago is on the source. Where did this source come from, right? Whether it was a historical book, whether it was just an article, etc. And as far as MLA is concerned, MLA focuses on the authorship. So when you will be citing in MLA format, you will automatically get the sense that the focus is mainly on the author. So I've taken some examples. So let us see the example in APA. I have not used more examples because for that you need to read the huge APA, CMOS, and MLA, style sheet, and they are huge. So I've just taken some examples which are easy to understand as well as which don't clutter the mind. So in order to cite a book, and this I'm not talking about in-text citation, I'm talking about the reference list or the bibliography. So when you put the book in the reference list, then what you do is you start in APA. I'm talking about what you do is you start the last name, then you give a comma, and the first name will be acronymized. You don't write the full name, you just use the initial, and then you put a date, sorry, dot, and after that you put the date within inverted commas, as you see here. sorry, within the parenthesis, and then you put again the full stop, right? So what you see is just after the name of the author, date comes. Date in other formats like CMOS and MLA, date comes at the end. But since date is important for APA, that's why it comes right after the originator of the idea. Then comes the name of the book or the title, and you will see in title the capitalization has been used, right? So first words, first letter in APA in the title is made capital. Rest are smaller, and wherever the capitalization rule is applied, that letter will be capital. For instance, India is capital. India's I is capital, right? As far as title is concerned. And once title is over, then comes the subtitle after the colon. After the colon, again you follow the same rule of sentence capitalization, in which first letter of the first word will be capital, and rest the rule will be following, right? So over here you see T of the is capital, I of India is capital, and N of nationalism is capital in the title of Oza R's book, The Making of Neoliberal India, Nationalism, Gender, and the Paradoxes of Globalization. And then comes the place where it was published. It was published in New York, right? So that place is given, and then comes the publisher in APA. On the other hand, in CMOS, you see a full name of author is given, not the short name. So first name is in full, Oza Rupal, right? Comma and dot are there, just like APA, and then you give the name in the title of the book. You use the headline style, in which each word have the capital letter. Each word's first letter will be the capital one. So in the title you see T of the, M for making, and N of neoliberal, I of India, N of nationalism, such and so on is capitalized, right? So this is how you write the title of a work in CMOS, according to CMOS. And then comes again the place, right? After place, the publisher, and then the date in which it was published. More or less, this is similar. MLA is more or less similar to CMOS, but there is one difference, and that one difference is that it does not give it does not include the name of the place where the work was published. So you see, New York is not given in um, Rupal Oza's book. New York is not included in MLA. It is missing from there. Then in journal also, you see they utilize different way of quoting. So in journal, what you see is in APA, author's name is given just like in books it is given. Date is also given the same, and capitalization of the title is also in the same way, right? And after that comes the name of the journal in which the journal article was published, and it is italicized. The name of the book is also italicized, and name of the journal is also italicized. And after that comes the volume number, volume, and after volume, within parenthesis comes issue number, and then you put a comma, and after that comes the pages, the range of pages. If article started from 1 to 50, so that will be 1 to 50, right? Because this entry comes at the end in bibliography or footnotes or endnotes if it is required. And one important thing that you must pay attention to is in APA, what you are seeing is that the volume number and the issue number, there is no space given between them. Even such small, nuance needs to be observed. So they don't give the space. The parenthesis and the volume number does not have the space in between them. So they are just put together. So you must observe this also over here if you see the cursor, right? Then we come to CMOS. In CMOS also, what you see is that in APA, quotation marks were not used in title of an article, but in CMOS, quotation marks are used, and the way of making a title, writing a title, is same as for books in CMOS, right? And journals title you italicize, but don't put a comma, don't put a full stop or anything, right? And straight away you write the volume number. Don't write the term volume also, just write the number of the volume, then comma, then write number and put a dot, right? Number, and after that write the number, the issue number, and within parentheses you give the season, spring, whichever season the journal was published. So over here spring is given, and after that the date is given, the date which was mentioned, in which this journal was published, or article was published. Then you give the colon after parenthesis, and then you give the page numbers, the range of the page numbers. And MLA also follows almost the same, but the difference is over here that title, after the title, what you see is, um, after the title, you see the name of the journal. They use the comma after the name of the journal, and they use the term volume in short, vol, right? And they don't use parentheses when they give reference to the date, whether it's season or the date. So they follow, they are similar to CMOS, in which they give the season as well as the date, and they also add PP, right? Page. They also add the term PP, and then they give the range of the pages. So this was in a nutshell, style sheet in humanities and social sciences, in a very brief. And obviously this is only tip of the iceberg, because this does not give you full idea of how in these different style sheets we cite. For that, everybody needs to read these books, their latest edition, and also keep in mind that they keep on updating, right? They have different editions which keep on updating. And then I've also given the way they cite different other sources. So they cite video films also, they cite lecture or public addresses also. So all these are different ways. I will just in quick tell you about, because I think time is also running out. So I will just quickly tell you about what is the focus in video and film. So in video and film citation, you see APA focuses on the producer. Okay, director comes later, and it also does not focus on the date comes at the third stage, if you see over here in APA citation. So producer is the prime focus in APA when you cite the video or film. And in CMOS you see it's the director who is the very important figure here. And in MLA, both director and the work, or the film or video, those are the important. That's why their entry in bibliography starts with the work. And inconvenient truth, I've given you a reference to a film, right? Or it can also start with the director, and the different way of writing is given here, so you can follow these different way of writing. And similarly, lecture and public addresses are also citable, right? So they are cited in this way. I've shown you the way over here. Now let us move to the last aspect, which is the in-text citation. So what is their in-text citation? In-text citation means you are citing within the text, because first you cite within the text, and then you side by side give the references either in footnotes or endnotes, or you give references at the end of your paper in bibliography or reference list. So in-text citation means you are citing within the text, and sometimes you are using the quotation marks, sometimes you are not using the quotation mark. You're just paraphrasing in your words. So what in-text citation contains? In-text citation contains author's last name, right? And in-text citation is usually kept within parentheses. It contains page numbers, and it also sometimes contains year of publication. So when you see this kind of information cited in the paper that you are studying, it will authenticate that the research has been done properly. Okay, so this is what in-text citation in very short means. Now let us see one example from in-text citation. So what APA does is, APA gives the author's last name, date, and page numbers. These are three elements which APA applies. So I've used an example. So example starts from here. The phenomenon is best referred to as, then quotation starts, cumulative collaboration of evidence, then quotation closes, then starts the parenthesis, and in the parenthesis you give the name of the author, which is the last name from where the source has been sourced. Pepper is the name of the author. Then you give comma and then the date, then again comma, then you write P dot and then page number from where the quotation was taken. And in CMOS, you either give footnote or endnote. You don't give in-text citation. In-text citation the way MLA or APA does. You just give footnote or endnote, and in the endnote or footnote you give the citation, proper reference. So this proper reference is the first time reference. Second time when you give, you shorten it. So first time when you give, you write the full name of the author. It starts from the first name rather than the last name. Okay, Stephen C. Pepper. Then you give a comma. Then the name of the work will come in italics, and after that, within parentheses, you give place of publication and publisher, and then you give the you give year, and close the parenthesis, give comma, and then give the page number, right? So this is the example when you give citation in CMOS. And then in MLA, what you see is that author's last name and page numbers are important. So what you do is, when the quotation ends, you simply use the parenthesis and put the author's last name and the page number. And most of the time, another important suggestion is that most of the time use the citations at the end of your sentence rather than in the middle. Okay, because it is considered good if you end the sentence with your citation. Otherwise, it will look very incohesive. You need to create a readable whole, right? So if it comes at the end of your sentence, then this within brackets or parentheses, this fits well in your text. Now let us come to the conclusion. So what is the conclusion about these two interrelated topics? We come to know that plagiarism and citation are oriented towards students, teachers, and professionals, right? So we are one of the stakeholders in these two domains, plagiarism and citation, right? Another aspect that we come to know about these topics is that they are conceptually interrelated and interdependent. If you are not citing properly, you are committing the act of plagiarism, right? That's why they are interrelated. Second thing, another thing that we come to know is through these two topics and through this presentation is that it's very rare or it's very hard to find legal cases against the plagiarist. Although they keep on happening, but it's very hard. Cara Bradley does suggest that we should use the legal cases, but it's very hard to find out. Next element that we come to know is that the major important aspects in these two areas is writer, who produces the content, who produces the knowledge, and reader and the source. These are the important dimensions or aspects of plagiarism and citation. And as far as plagiarism's idea is concerned, all of us must understand that it is a part of academic training, and it is also part of or a matter of academic or professional ethics. It shows how much ethical behavior do we have, right? And it is part of academic ethical behavior. Another thing that we come to know about plagiarism and citation is that they are the highly specialized enterprise, right? It requires special kind of a skill. It requires special kind of a training. Without that training, we might be committing. That's why we need to keep on updating ourselves also. Then we come to that the objective of such kind of discussion is that we need to spread knowledge and develop academic ethics. Plagiarism and citation inform us that we need to spread knowledge and develop academic ethics. Third, we come to know that these different ideas are discipline based. So different disciplines might have a general idea of plagiarism and citation, as well as different ways of citing and different ways of defining them. So they are discipline based. That's why there are different style sheets in different disciplines. Next, we come to know that we do use technology, but the technology is not the ultimate tool to get rid of plagiarism, right? Or to see whether something properly has been cited or not. Technology is helpful. It may detect, but this is not the solution. It cannot eliminate plagiarism or the mistakes in citation, right? And we've already gone through the legal routes that both the ideas have a legal root, right? It has legal dimension, right? And we also come to know that individual organizations and technologies, they work together. So in order to deal with these two ideas, technology, organizations, and individuals, we all need to come together and develop a system in which problem of plagiarism should not be there, and a proper citation system will be there, and therefore we will be able to produce authentic and credible information and knowledge, and thus it becomes the foundation of research ethics, right? Foundation of research as well as the ethics. And this is what something we must all follow as academicians and as students or other professionals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think, could you please stop sharing the screen?
Yeah. I'm just.
Okay, I will now ask the participants so they can directly ask any questions they have in their mind. So now I have unmuted everyone. Please put your questions.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I
Afternoon.
audible, sir? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Preetha Ghosh, sir. My question is,
Yes, please.
what are the reliable online plagiarism checker one can consider to check his or her authenticity of his or her data? Means apart from Turnitin, what are the other reliable online plagiarism checker software, sir? This is the first question, and the second question.
Yeah. Yes. Please
And
continue.
what is the percentage plagiarism accepted in case of any journal paper or in case of any book chapters, sir? So this is my second question, sir.
Okay. As far as software are considered, as far as softwares are considered, I've already mentioned those ones, Freestyler and Vast, etc. But when I was again checking them, it was difficult to find them. Although there are different other services also which you might find, okay, online, but generally we depend on these guidelines rather than depending on these softwares, because software will always require amount of money on your part. This is one thing. If it is available online, right? So you can apply, take the help of those softwares. But unfortunately, these two softwares which I was referring in here, it was difficult to find them, right? So when I checked them again, they were not available. Maybe because of Turnitin and other paid softwares, they are now out of fashion. This is one thing. But as a scholar, we don't need to employ the services of a software, because whenever we will send our papers to a journal, they will have the softwares to check the plagiarism, right?
Okay, sir.
So we don't need to actually go for the softwares. What we need to do is we need to first and foremost depend on our teacher, how our teacher teaches us, whether our teacher has taught us properly or not about plagiarism or not. So first we depend on the teacher, then we follow different online sources, different websites, like I was referring to Turnitin, as well as online writing lab by Purdue University. So all these online resources we can pursue, and then avoid we can avoid plagiarism, right? What was this second question?
What is the percentage plagiarism
Yeah,
accepted, sir, in case of
yeah,
any
yeah,
journal papers?
yeah. So different organizations will have different percentage, right? Somebody keeps it up to 40%, and somebody keeps it to 40%, somebody keeps it to 30%, right? But that does not mean you are allowed 30% of plagiarism. This is not the meaning of this percentage. The meaning of percentage is that somehow software detects those things also which are not plagiarized. For instance, the references that we give, software might detect them also. Recent paper I had sent to a journal. Um, the paper was on sexual violence, crimes against sexual violence. So in that paper, the editors sent us the report of their software. I don't know which software was that, Turnitin or some other software they had used, which they pay for. So over there, they mentioned the percentage that you need to keep it to 30%. And when I went through the manuscript again, in which the software had pointed out, I then saw that the material which I had quoted, this was what it had shortlisted, right? So I then rectified. If something like this happens, if the software is shortlisting or detecting your own quote, your quoted material as percentage of plagiarism, then you need to inform the editors or the contact person of your journal that this is not plagiarism. It is only the quotation which it is trying to mistakenly shortlist as percentage of plagiarism, right? So this is what you need to do. So this is what I also did. Then it was reduced. I did reduce many other things which they had said, but it was reduced in this way. So the ultimate point is that there are resources, for instance, different websites which I have referred to, different softwares also. If they are available, it's well and good. If they are not available, go to the teachers. It is teachers' responsibility who will teach you as a researcher, right? As your supervisor, right? And also, once your paper is finalized, once your teacher has edited it, because teacher also contributes to writing of your paper, and teacher is also indirectly responsible for development of your ideas, not fully but partly, right? So
Okay.
teacher will help, different sources will help, and also these publication houses will also help you. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Quite sure. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I think.
Sir, my
So now, any questions, please yourself. When you participate, you can
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I request the
Hello.
participant who is to ask a question, please go on.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Sir, I am Naila Firdaus, research scholar from Aligarh Muslim University. My question is, suppose I am reading your research paper, which have different studies which you have included in your literature review. Should I use your reference or the reference of that study? Am I clear?
Yes, yes, you are clear. Generally, it should not be done.
Okay, sir.
I, I would suggest it should not be done.
Okay,
But
sir.
if you think that it is very important that you need to quote the already quoted material from your
Yes.
source,
Mm,
if you think that it is must, then you need to quote it, and different style sheet, the style sheet that you will be using, that style sheet has already mentioned the way to quote already quoted material. So the simple answer is, the simple way of quoting already quoted material would be that within brackets, when you give the bibliographic details, author, date, page number, etc., you also mention quoted in, and then you give the name of that person who has quoted it in their source, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So this is also the way, but different style sheets will give you different type of um, you know uh, different type of ways to quote it.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
sir.
any more questions?
Sir, good afternoon, sir. I am Abraham. Sir, I have a doubt against self-plagiarism. So I have seen one research article. In that article, that person has written that article, but in text citation there is 10 times his name is there, and at the same time, it is there 10 times at the references. So is it the right way, sir? Because he is already published that material in another journals, and he used
Could
the
you please repeat?
same citation.
Excuse me, your voice
Could
is
you repeat the
breaking. Could you please
question,
repeat? Hello.
Dr. Abraham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you please
Sir,
repeat the question? It's
yes,
repeat.
sir.
It's breaking.
Yes, sir. I am talking about self-plagiarism, sir. So I
Okay.
saw
Okay.
one article. One researcher has
Okay.
written his research article, and
Okay.
so that I am when I am reviewing, I found that he used
Mhm.
his name 10 times in the same article. And if
Okay.
when I see in the references, in the
Okay.
references also his name is there 10 times. His name is mentioned. So is it right way, or is it comes under self-plagiarism?
Okay. Okay. See, if someone is referencing her or his work, then it is not unethical. It is right. Okay. But if someone is referring to his or her own work 10 times, then perhaps it will not be a way to write an article. Okay. I would not suggest a person to use her or his own research for writing another article. Okay. I would not suggest. Personally, I would not suggest. If once you can use it, it's fine. There's no problem. But if you will give 10 times the references to your own article, then it will not be a quality research. I would disqualify such kind of research, right? So it is not correct. It will become then suspicious also. Why that person is citing only, why that person is citing her or his own work, okay, more than what is required. Not only this, not just your own work. In research, you are not supposed to cite the same work again and again. If you cite somebody else's work also, right, 10 times, if you cite somebody else's work in the same article, that is also not considered correct. Forget about citing your own work. Okay. So citing your own work more than which is required is incorrect, and citing other person's work more than it is required, it is incorrect. And you refer to the reference list. If the person has uh, uh, given references to different works, then obviously that person will have to write those 10 different works. But if person is giving reference to the same work 10 times, then it is absolutely incorrect. Is that all
Thank
right?
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, how to cite newspaper articles in APA format? Sir, basically what
Uh,
happens is that like in the same year, two or three articles, like on say on education, are published in the like in economic times. So in that case, how to cite the same in APA format from the newspaper articles?
from the newspaper articles.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I did not include that entry.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
But I will
Some
tell you.
journals were.
Yeah. I will tell you how to cite newspaper article.
Okay, sir.
Okay. For citing in newspaper, okay,
Yes, sir.
which is a daily newspaper, what you need to do is first you give the name of the person. Okay.
Okay.
Name of the person. And how you give the name of the person? You give name of the person.
Last name.
Yeah, last name
Last
you
name,
give first.
comma.
You begin with the last name. Okay.
Comma
You begin with the
initial.
last name. Okay, then give the comma, and after that you shorten the, you use the initial of the first name, and then you
Yes,
put the full stop, just as it happens in books. And after
yes,
that you use the date, which is kept in parenthesis. So for instance, if the date is 2020, within parenthesis you start with 2020, then give comma, then you give the date, the specific date on which it was published. If it was published
yes, sir.
yesterday, you give yesterday's date, and you start the date either by British English or the American English. In American English, month will come first. So if you want to give yesterday's date, then December will come first, and then day will come second. Yesterday was 14th,
14,
so
yes, sir.
December 14th. Then you close the parenthesis, give full stop, and after that you write the title of that article. Okay, without any quotation marks, without any italicization, and that title, as already sent, as already conveyed, you need to give the title in sentence format, which means first letter of the first word will remain capital, rest will remain in small. Then you put a full stop, then you give name of the newspaper, right, whichever newspaper you read, and the name of the newspaper will be in italics, and after that give
Yes,
comma, and then you give the page number. If there was page number, you give the page number, and then you put the full stop after the page number. That's it. Okay.
okay. Thank you so
Although
much, sir.
for these you need to read you know all these entirely, and you need to keep on reading it, right? You might have the
Yes,
basics on your fingertips, but you might not have all the details that they are given, because the details are so minute. Where to use comma, where not to use comma, where to use colon, where not to use colon, and what is the format of quoted in, if you are using already quoted material, right? So for that, you, while writing, you need to keep the style sheet with you beside your
okay, sir.
paper, beside your computer. Anyways, yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Any more question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Satrajit Datta. Sir, I have one query. Actually, it is mandatory to publish articles related to a PhD research topic before submission. Sir, will that be detected as plagiarism by the software at the time of submission of thesis?
No, not at all, not at all. As long as it is properly cited, all these style sheets which we had discussed, if you read them, you will see that they will tell you the, you know, they will tell you the way to cite a dissertation or research done by you, right? PhD research. What element that you need to remember is whether the dissertation or thesis has been submitted to the university or your institution or not. You must first focus on that, because you see that you have borrowed from your research, okay? And if the research has been already submitted to your education institution, then you will give the reference properly. If it is still going on, then perhaps not giving the reference will not amount to anything, but still, to be on the safer side, you should give the reference that it is an ongoing work, some sort of let's say footnote or endnote, or mention within the text of your article. You should give the reference, right? But if you don't give, if it is not submitted yet, then it won't be a serious violation of these laws. But it's always good to be on safer side and give a reference to it, whether it is published or not. Okay, but you do publish your articles, you do give a reference. If it has been submitted, you do give reference that it is a dissertation publication. But you must remember that there has to be differences between your thesis and the article that you are publishing. In any case, basically both of them are different in their shape and nature. Article will be different and thesis will be different, although both of them attempt a research and present a research.
I think
Okay.
Kashi
Thank
want
you,
to
sir.
ask
Thank you so
questions.
much.
Yes. Any more questions?
Sir,
Yes.
Go ahead.
sir, actually, suppose I'm from a science background. I'm Preetha, sir. This is my second question. Suppose,
please.
example, I'm working on characterization of nanoparticles from bacteria. So it has a standardized procedure. I follow a standardized procedure of one particular author. But I'm not able to open that particular article in the web. But I saw the same procedure is cited by another person.
Yeah.
So in that case, which particular author I need to take into consideration for citation, sir?
See, you are using somebody else's procedure.
Yes,
So
standardized
you
procedure.
yeah. So you give reference to that person, but you got to know about this procedure from a third person. Okay.
Yes.
So you give reference to that third person also. Somehow construct those sentences in the text in this way that the reference to both the people go. Okay. So you need to give reference to both the people, because if you leave the reference of one or the other, then it will amount to plagiarism.
Okay, sir.
You must give reference to both of them.
Okay.
The one
Thank
whose
you.
procedure you are using and the source from where you got to
Yes.
know it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I think
And these questions, by the way, such questions which Pritha and I mean, all the questions are important, but such questions are very tricky. These things keep on happening to all of us, whether we are
Yes, sir.
from a science background or from humanities and social sciences or engineering, whichever background we are from.
Okay. Any more questions, or can we stop here? Participant, any questions?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Sir, am I audible?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sir, I want to ask the questions. If I use a methodology, okay, and in mathematical formulas, if I take same similar
Your
of
voice
any
is
research,
breaking.
Could you
The
please
voice
repeat
is
the
breaking.
question?
sir, if I use a methodology from an article, and if I use the same methodology, if it is required in my research and in different aspects, and use the same methodology, how can I avoid the plagiarism, sir?
No audio.
I know the question
Hello.
is, she's asking about if I use someone's methodology in my research, is it comes under the plagiarism or not?
No, as long as you give reference to that methodology, if you will give reference to methodology, then obviously it will not be plagiarism. If you give the reference to that person, that this is the methodology of that person, okay, I'm using that methodology, then it is not plagiarism. But you should focus on that the methodology should not produce the same sort of result. The methodology should not produce the same sort of idea. Okay, if you, for instance, if I use the ideas of a feminist or a gender study person, right? So my focus is that I'm not going to repeat what she has already said or he has already said. Okay, by borrowing that idea, I need to make another idea. So if the methodology that you have used is going to help you, create new idea, then obviously it's good. But even then, you need to give reference to that methodology. If you give the reference to the methodology, then obviously it will not be plagiarism. If it is properly cited, it's not it's not plagiarism.
Okay. Okay, I think
Thank you.
we are running out of time, so we have to stop somewhere, and I think we have to stop at this point. And okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Sukhdev, for your valuable talk on the significance of plagiarism and its different spectrum of plagiarism while using basically Turnitin. And your presentation on citation and its importance and basic elements talking about APA, CMOS, and MLA citation style sheets. And lastly, you discuss about the in-text citations in these three style form. I hope our participants have understood the concept and they will use those things while writing the paper or thesis. So we are grateful for the effort you took to share your experience with us. Thank you once again. So I will stop here and I request the participant to join the third session at around 2:45. So as for the schedule, it is 2:30. So now it is little delay. So we'll join again at 2:45. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Deepak, for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.